For those of you who don't know, the Blondie is a cousin of the brownie that's made without chocolate. I created this version a few years ago, back when I started the channel, but I never got around to publish it because I lost the footage where I cut the Blondies in. Nevertheless, I was looking around at my hard drive and I thought that this recipe was worth sharing. So let's go. For this recipe, you're going to need 4 passion fruits. If you can actually find the fresh fruit, it's much better than using any kind of frozen product. You can use the purple passion fruit or the yellow passion fruit. The yellow one is a little bit more sour, and I think it's better for desserts than the purple one. However, if you can only find the purple one, that's fine too. With the actual fruit, we're going to extract the juice out of the pulp with the help of a bowl and a strainer. And to do that, you simply run the back of a spoon over the pulp until it becomes quite dry. Of course, you will have a bowl underneath, otherwise the juice is just going to run all over your house, and that's not nice. So in total of these 4 passion fruit, I got 200 grams or 200 milliliters of passion fruit juice. And in order to continue with the recipe, we need to reduce this juice a little bit because it's too watery, and we need to concentrate it because otherwise it's going to mess up with the structure and the texture of the Blondies. So over medium-high heat, you simply stir the juice every now and then until it becomes like a thick syrup. And at that point, you're going to add 200 grams of butter, unsalted butter. It can be cold or room temperature, it doesn't matter. You can chop it if you feel like it. I wasn't feeling like it when I recorded this recipe, so I didn't, but it doesn't matter because it's all going to be melting down anyway. As the butter is melting, we will measure 200 grams of white granulated sugar and 200 grams of brown sugar or muscovado sugar. This is definitely a recipe for people who are not on a diet, and if you are on a diet, there's no reason for you to be making blondies or brownies or anything like that with so much sugar, which by the way is very important for the texture of these blondies. With the butter melted, you are going to add the sugars and mix for a minute and a half, nothing too much, just to incorporate everything together. At which point you will have to transfer that mixture onto another bowl so it cools down a little before we proceed with the other steps. And the next step is to toast a few nuts. I used almonds, cashews, hazelnuts, and Brazil nuts, which I heard is a little bit radioactive, but I don't think it matters too much because even if it is, it's just a little bit, and it's so tasty that I think it's worth it. So to toast it, just put it in the oven about 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. And the next ingredient that I'll prepare is chocolate, white chocolate. Specifically, I like to buy the bar of chocolate of a good quality brand and chop it myself instead of using those chocolate chips that sometimes are not really all that much chocolate in the composition of them. It's mostly some kind of weird mixture that is not very tasty, certainly not compared to the real chocolate. I used to put it in a little container because back then I was very disciplined with that kind of thing. So now the nuts are very toasty and very aromatic, very delicious smelling, and I need to chop them a little bit because they're too big and I don't want to choke anybody. Anyway, I need to tell you that this variety of nuts that I'm using are just for illustration. You can use others, you can use just one kind, you can use only cashews or only almonds or walnuts or anything that you like. I just use a little bit of everything so that the flavor is going to be more varied. Again, in a little dish because I was very cute then. And we also need to prepare a baking dish by placing a sheet of aluminum foil in it. And ideally you will grease this aluminum foil with some melted butter or oil, which I didn't and regretted later on. Next step is to weigh the flour that's going to be used in the recipe. And now as you can see, I have everything ready. The flour, the white chocolate, and the nuts. Very, very cute. By now the mixture that we did earlier should have cooled down a little bit. If it hasn't, you simply whisk it a little bit and it's going to be fine. And now adding the salt, which is very important for any kind of dessert. I said that before, I think. Any dessert has to have salt because salt is an enhancer of flavors. Salt makes all the flavors able to shine and to be acknowledged and seen and tasted. A dessert without salt is a dessert that's going to be flat and flavorless, bland, not appetizing at all. Just mixing around until it's time for the eggs. Chicken eggs without any shells, preferably. There's nothing worse than biting on a shell when you're eating something that shells aren't supposed to be in. And whisk it again with a whisk or with a wooden spoon. I don't recommend using an electric mixer or a stand mixer because you're just going to whip up too much air into the mixture, and as a consequence it's going to be too airy, which is not the characteristic that you expect from a blondie. So just mix it with a whisk or with a wooden spoon or with any kind of spoon. It's going to be fine. And now goes the flour, pre-measured. You could have actually just placed this bowl on top of a scale and weighed the flour directly in it. It wouldn't be a problem. Nevertheless, just mixing around until all the flour disappears. There's no need to beat this or to overmix it or anything like that. After which I added the baking powder. You could have added the baking powder together with the flour and mix it all at one time. It would be fine too. But I didn't have a lot of experience baking cakes back then, to be honest with you, which a blondie is a kind of a cake anyway. It's a denser cake, but it's a cake nevertheless. Now it's the most important point of this recipe to me, which is to add all of the inclusions that were previously prepared, the white chocolate and the nuts, so delicious, and simply mix it until it's all incorporated. I have to warn you because this is a very sticky and tough batter. So as you watch the battle with the batter, let me tell you that you don't need to add as many nuts as I have. You can add fewer nuts, or you can add no nuts at all. You can add less white chocolate, or you can add no chocolate at all. What I don't recommend you doing is to substitute the white chocolate with milk chocolate or semi-sweet chocolate or dark chocolate, because the white chocolate complements very well the little tartness from the passion fruit. So if you don't like white chocolate, simply leave it out. Don't substitute it with any other kind of chocolate. The nuts, I do recommend that you include them. Of course, don't include them if you have an allergy of nuts. I don't want to make you sick, and I don't think you should want to be sick either. So leave them out, but include them if you can. It's very tasty. And now, after all this trouble, it's going to be baked at 350 degrees for about 35 minutes, give or take. After it's cooked, you will need to wait about 5 hours, or better yet, overnight before you cut it, because it's going to be very soft, and if you attempt to cut it before it's completely cooled down, it's just going to run all over the place, and it's going to be very messy and very ugly and not tasty at all. You're just going to burn your tongue, and you can't taste anything with a burned tongue. So anyway, I apologize for not having the cutting scene, but it's a very tasty recipe that I guarantee you're going to love, and everybody who is served this is going to love you a lot, just like I love you for being a subscriber to this channel. Bye bye.